On this week's episode, we're going to be talking McLaren, tyres, and title permutations. Hello and welcome to another episode of Back of the Grid. I'm Tom and I'm joined as always by Chris.
Hello.
Hello. I'm going to go out on a limb very early in this episode and say this would have been yet another boring Qatar race if it wasn't for McLaren messing up strategy completely.
Yeah, I mean...
Straight out there with it. Not even asking how you are, just throwing that out there.
If you really boil it down, like, three things happened in this race. Like, Hulkenberg and Gasly had a crash.
Yep.
McLaren did a bad strategy. Antonelli made a mistake. Oh, a fourth thing, Alonso had a spin. There we go. That's it. That's the four things that happened in this race. Other than that, I mean, we'll get to the awards. I think move of the day we're going to be struggling to find anything for.
There's one maybe when we get there.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, even that's a stretch, I think, generally speaking. I
do know why Formula One race is here, but
oil money.
But why are it's a track designed for motorbike racing that does not lend itself well to car racing. WEC race here as well, and it's not a very good race in WEC either. It's constantly causing tyre issues. We've basically had to run this race under a different set of regulations because tyres can't handle the track. You know, you could argue over how much of that's a track problem and how much of that's a Pirelli problem. But even so, it's not a problem they have at any other track. You've got curbs that are still damaging. It's just... all logic says Formula One should not be at this circuit, and yet I think they're there until like 2031 or something insane like that is the contract.
Yeah, we've got another 6 or 7 years of it. Yeah, I think this is the thing, isn't it? Like, this one might go under the radar a little bit and make less people sceptical of it as a circuit because we've had something like overall entertaining out of it, but the entertaining bits could have happened anywhere.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like, if it weren't for an accident and a bad strategy call, which are not track dependent, then it would have just been. I mean, the sprint was so drab,
dire, wasn't it?
I know it wasn't literally they finished as they started, but it might as well have been.
Yeah.
Like, there were a few people who got jumped from being on the inside side of the grid that was off the racing line. A few people lost places where those on the racing line side of the grid got better starts. So there's a little bit of a shuffle in there. And then after that, I don't think anyone really changed positions, if at all.
No, I mean...
And it felt like the race was going to be like that if it wasn't for Hulkenberg and Gasly.
Yeah.
And he probably would have. I mean, it was like that for the most part, wasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
There was a little bit of a mix-up for the McLarens because of their strategy blunder, but everybody else was literally on the same strategy at that point. So it was just...
I mean,
it didn't...
I'm looking now at like a line graph of position changes across the race, and it's pretty much a bunch of parallel lines. Like, other than pit stops, not a lot was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, McLaren just could not have got that more wrong. Short of 3 stopping it, I don't think they could have got that more wrong. I mean, we knew going into the race that we had this imposed maximum 25 lap tyre stint rule. Safety car comes out on lap 7. It doesn't take a genius to work out in a 57 lap race that gives you 2 perfect 25 lap stints. And every single car but one of the McLarens, Ocon stayed out, but then pitted on the subsequent lap. Yeah. But basically everybody else went in. And it cost McLaren the race. It cost McLaren the win almost certainly, a double podium almost certainly, maybe even 1-2. Like, I mean, who knows what would have played out had they done the same strategy?
Yeah, because the car generally had the pace over the weekend. It was the faster looking car.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Max was in touch, but they weren't able to get the setup quite as right as McLaren, and McLaren was the faster package this weekend, generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the sprint, like in the opening laps, Max looked like he was a bit quicker, but once the McLaren seems to take a little bit longer to kind of get everything up to temperature and optimize. But once they did, then the pace was miles better.
Yeah.
I mean, at any other track that would have been a 1-2, but like you need a big overlap to make an overtake there, which is why Lando ended up third, I think.
It just feels like another rendition of McLaren self-sabotage to some degree.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't want to win the title at this point. Despite the driver's best efforts, McLaren themselves do not want to win the title.
And I mean, McLaren's reasoning, they said they were concerned about traffic if only some of the field pit and others stayed out, that they get stuck behind people. They also worried that in a really crowded pit lane, because they've got the first pit box, they're most at risk of getting stuck and not be able to get out of your pit box. And while all of that is true, it's still a lot better than just choosing the worst strategy. I mean,
yeah.
Ironic.
Surely as well, before race, they are thinking about these kinds of scenarios and discussing what they're going to do in these scenarios. And you would have also thought that they'd have been on the radio to both drivers saying, safety car, we have an opportunity to pit and do 225s. Do you want to do it? Like, and it feels like from the bits of radio that you did hear that wasn't even considered. Because the only thing that I really heard on it was Lando questioning it just after he realised everybody else has gone in behind them. So Max obviously gone in front of Lando, then everybody else went in behind him, and he sort of realised where they're at, and he's radioed in and said, should we have not followed Max in when we saw he was pitting? And the response was the response that I made classic during the race of, they've lost all their flexibility. It's like, what flexibility? You're limited to 225 lap stints. What flexibility have they lost that you've gained? It doesn't mean... I mean, arguably, McLaren will turn around and say, yes, but we were able to pit early on the second set of mediums and go to the hards sooner. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
What good did it do? It did, practically no good.
You've given yourself the flexibility to pit whenever you like and come second.
Just such a blunder. Such a blunder.
Yeah. And ironically as well, on the kind of pit traffic thing, if you watch Max's pit stop, he was held very briefly because Antonelli was coming down the pit lane, and Verstappen just squeezed out in a gap between Antonelli and Sainz.
Yes.
Had they pit Piastri, there's a very good chance Piastri would have been in that gap, and actually Max would have ended up being held even longer. It's just such a... And you can also make the argument, in a way it's a little bit like Hungary a few years ago, where Hamilton went to the grid and everybody else pitted, because as the first car, you've got nothing to react to, whereas if you're further down track, you can react to people. But even then, as you say, this is something that should have been discussed ahead of time, and it should have been... It was obvious to every other team. For McLaren to not...
When 18 other cars, Well, no, sorry, not 18, because 2 of them had crashed at that point, hadn't they? So when the remaining 16 cars... In fact, no, Gasly stayed in the race, didn't he, after the incident, I think?
I think
so.
Yeah.
So, when the remaining 17 cars all pit. And, I get this whole thing of the double stack was a little bit risky, or giving up track position for Oscar, they might have felt was a bit risky. At least split them. If that's how you feel about it, at least split them. Like Lando was saying at the time, should we have not followed and like basically do the opposite to one of them does the opposite to Max, one of them does the same as Max and split things.
Well, so I grabbed a bit of inbox on exactly this subject because it seemed like a good time to put it in. So Ben said, hey man, I feel like McLaren's incredibly conservative decision not to pit under the safety car was to protect Lando from double stacking and potentially rejoining behind Sainz and Kimi. This was clearly to Oscar's detriment, who would likely have won. Am I going crazy? Surely most teams would protect a race leading driver for the win.
Yeah.
And yes, you should. And this feels like another case of McLaren so desperate for fairness, they're hurting themselves.
But again, in that scenario, you, depending on what you think is best as a team and as a strategy, you, as quickly as you possibly can, run that by the driver. Like, even if they don't know if the Oscar side of the team is boxing or not, you're on the radio to Lando saying, if Oscar boxes, we have to double stack, or you can stay out and risk for track position. Which do you want to do? Then it's in Lando's hands. If he wants to double stack and risk track position to be on the same strategy as everybody else, he can say, let's double stack. If he wants to risk getting track position and being out of sync with everybody, he can say, no, let me keep track position. And then you're essentially asking a similar question to Piastri of, we're lead car, we either need to pit or not pit.
Yeah. But if you don't, Lando is going to...
We think this, but Lando is pitting regardless behind you. So what do you want to do? And, like, I think you've got to take the risk sometimes, especially in the scenario that they're in. They knew what was going to unfold. They must have. I can't believe that everyone in the McLaren team is so naive to think that what happened wouldn't happen. And if they did, that is a very, very, what's the word? Like, bravado is maybe not the right word, but like, just so full of themselves in terms of like,
we know better than everyone else.
We've got the pace. It doesn't matter what they do behind us. We're fast enough. Like, it's just arrogance is probably the word I'm looking for. Like, and if that is genuinely what they thought, then they deserve to lose the title to Max in Abu Dhabi, in my opinion.
Like if
I've been saying that for a while, but yeah.
All this like fairness and like, protecting Lando, not having to double stack. Like, well, I'm sorry, but if Lando wants to have the optimum pit strategy, then he shouldn't have mucked up his second run in qualifying. Like, Piastri earned the right to have first choice of the best strategy and wasn't given that. Yeah. Like, if you're actively not going to choose a number one driver and give them both an equal chance, don't hurt the driver ahead to make him equal with the one who's behind. Just baffling. I mean, both the drivers after the race. I mean, Piastri basically said he just had nothing to say. Lando, if you listen to the team radio, literally said nothing on the cool-down lap. He didn't say a word until he got out of the car. And I don't blame them. Like, the team just let them down enormously there.
Yeah.
And as a result, I mean, we'll get into the championship permutations later, but as a result, excitingly for the neutral, we go into Abu Dhabi with a three-way fight for the championship. First time it's been more than two drivers in contention since 2010, I think it is, which is...
Yeah, I was having this conversation with someone earlier, and I was like, sort of a bit thrown off by that, because I was like, well, what about 2012 with Alonso and Vettel? Because I thought the McLarens were still involved in that by the end.
I think they were already out of
contention. I
contention.
think they'd already gone out of contention. And then I sort of stopped and thought, oh, well, that'd still be 13 years, not 15. It's still a long time, even if it did happen that season. So, yeah, it's a crazy long time. And I think the only, like, sort of slight smudge on it for me is just the fact that Lando Norris was able to get past Antonelli in that last lap. Like, it would just be that touch more interesting if a podium wasn't quite enough for Lando. Like, it needed to be that bit. Because at the minute, the way, I mean, we'll probably go into it in a bit more detail, but going into a race where top three is fine and you've got two rivals for the title, you can happily just let them run off with the race and just come home behind them.
Yeah.
At that moment when he was behind Antonelli, third wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
And it would have forced him to have to race the other two to at least come second. And I think we've lost a little bit of something because of that, but it is what it is. Like, it's still not a certain for any one of them. And yes, as much as it's much more in Lando's favour, with the way things are going with McLaren at the minute, I wouldn't be surprised if, Max
to do something else stupid.
ends up being able to go win the race and like McLaren do something stupid in some capacity and essentially give him the title.
And like, ironically, even though Piastri was the better driver all weekend and finished 2 places ahead of Norris, he's worse off in the championship fight now because he's actually dropped to third. So he's actually got even less chance than he had before this race, which is bad in and of itself.
And without the strategy call, he's probably winning that race.
He was
being
like
the one more in touch.
Where has this form been from Piastri? Like, he's having not been on the podium since Monza. All of a sudden this weekend he just came back to life, didn't he?
He's gone well in Qatar before though, hasn't he? Has he not won all the sprint races there? Do I remember?
He definitely got
over the weekend.
He definitely won the sprint here like a couple of years ago, which was like his first win for McLaren. But
regardless, like he's always gone decently here. So maybe it's just that he likes the high speed stuff.
Maybe
I have to go back and properly analyse all the races to work that out. But I mean, it's just this is why it's difficult to overtake there, isn't it? Though it's just a bunch of high speed corners essentially in a big circle.
And ironically, the drivers love driving it for that reason, but it's just terrible for racing.
It's like Monaco, but for the exact opposite reason. Right?
It really is.
The drivers love driving it because it's so tight. You're on the edge. One slight mistake, you're done. The drivers love it for that reason, but it makes for absolutely crap racing. You've got this is the same, just on the opposite end of the scale. Like it's so fast, it's so intense, it's so physically demanding for them because of the G-force and the speed of the corners. They love it. However, the racing is dull. So it's Qatar.
Max Verstappen is another driver that likes this track. He's now won 3 in a row here. His 7th win of the season, which actually puts him on equal wins with Norris and Piastri.
So basically, it could come down to whoever essentially wins the title on countback. Potentially,
yeah. I'm sure there's a combination of results where that happens,
Yeah.
His 70th career win as well. I mean, just a very solid drive from him yet again. They sent up Hannes Schmitz to the podium, who is the chief strategist. Very much felt like
definitely
twisting the knife at McLaren.
Yeah,
and I've seen so many people online like praising how fantastic she is, and it's like, yes, she is fantastic at her job. But this race of all races to bring that up, she just did the obvious thing that every other team did. Yeah. Like, I can point to plenty of other races where she did make fantastic strategy calls. This wasn't one of them, I'm afraid.
This was just an average day in the office for Hannah.
Yeah. But yeah, good win for Max all the same. Another kind of sprint weekend where they really started off on the back foot in Red Bull and then just overnight made sweeping changes and just got it right and brought him back into it. They're very good at that.
It seems to be a very, not worrying trait, but like a negative trait at least of Red Bull in general, doesn't it? When you get to these sprint weekends, that only having that one practice session seems to really unsettle their schedule. Like, we've seen it a few times this season where they've turned up, had the practice session, not been able to unlock the pace in the car, very poor sprint quali, okay middling sprint result, and then having to start again fresh in Grand Prix quali and going into the main race. So yeah, probably something they need to look at and work on, I think, over the off season, because it's feeling like it's becoming a little bit of a permanent trait of theirs. That
Yeah, and actually on this occasion, Tsunoda hit the ground running way better than Max did, and he actually out-qualified him for the sprint, which is unheard. That must be the first time he's out-qualified Max, I think. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of let Max pass on the first lap of the sprint pretty easily, as you'd expect, but he still finished behind him in 6th place, which was his best result for a long time. And then it all went wrong for him in qualifying again. Like, for some reason, the pace just fell off in qualifying. He was out in Q1 again. Like, he got back up into the points, which was a decent drive. But, like, I mean, at this point, it is seemingly too little too late. There's reports today that Red Bull's driver decision has been made now. And it might even be confirmed as soon as today when you're listening to this, if you listen to this on the day it comes out, that Red Bull are going to be promoting Hadjar to Red Bull next season, keeping Lawson and bringing in Arvid Lindblad alongside him, and dropping Tsunoda in the process. Yeah,
there was a lot of talk in commentary from, at least from an F1 TV perspective, that was very much talking as though it's a done deal at that point. And I can't remember exactly what they said. Like, I think it was Tsunoda's qualifying where they said something along the lines of, he's driving with confidence now, there's nothing hanging over him, and the decision's been made. So it was like, it feels like there's something essentially confirmed within the paddock, but not officially released. And like we say, by the time you're listening to this, it's probably out there and done at this point.
I feel like we saw a little bit of that with Perez last year as well. Once the decision had been made that he was being dropped, he actually kind of had a bit of an uptick towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there probably is a little bit of a relief at that point.
Pressure's off kind of thing. Yeah,
it's done, but yeah, it's the wrong time to suddenly find form, isn't it? Once your contract's been terminated.
Joining Max and Oscar on the podium for the second time this season, Carlos Sainz. What a drive! What a drive, and execution from the team as well. Like, okay, the strategy call was obvious, but they absolutely nailed the pit stops. They released him into the train perfectly. Everything was just such a perfect executed race. Incredible. If you wouldn't have bet on Williams picking up a one podium, Sainz especially picking up a podium this season, let alone getting 2. It guarantees them 5th place in the constructors, which, considering they were 9th last year, is an enormous turnaround.
I'm gonna put it out there that Carlos Sainz is the new Jensen Button. More than capable of winning races on his day, driving for teams that can't necessarily always put the car under him to go get the results week in, week out. And at some point in his career, maybe even next year, who knows, a regulation change will just drop him in the sweet spot and he will go and he will win a title.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm just putting it out there that I need a new Jensen Button in my life, especially now he's retired from everything. I think all my eggs are in the Carlos Sainz basket for that scenario. But I mean, we see it so often from Carlos, don't we? Like, yes, he's maybe not like out there the raw fastest driver like your Maxes and people like that. Maybe he's not even the most consistent driver like other people that we've seen. Like George is relatively consistent in comparison, but I feel like he's the most sort of rounded guy to be able to be driving. I mean, he's driven for different teams on the grid for different lengths of time, and he's picked up podiums and wins for most of them. Like, you know, his time at McLaren, his time at Ferrari, now his time at Williams. He was always pretty solid in the Toro Rosso back in the day. Like, he's always gone wherever he's been and been probably more successful than you'd expect, is what I would say. He's done more than you would expect out of the team and car he's been in. So whatever that milestone is, he's always generally met it and probably gone a bit further. So yeah, I'm I mean, that's why I put the hat on. I know it's a Ferrari hat and not a Williams one, but it's the only Carlos Sainz hat I own. So...
Yeah, I mean, I can, looking at the trajectory of teams and the power unit changes, I can really see Williams like humbling at least one of the big teams next year.
Yeah.
Like, everybody assumes Mercedes are going to do a very good job with the power unit next year. I think that's not too bold an assumption to make. And given what Williams have been achieving in the last couple of years with the new direction they're going in, I can really see them having a very strong year next year.
Yeah, I could see that.
And, you know, you've got like Aston are going to be using Honda engines for the first time, so there might be a bedding in process there. You've got Red Bull making their own engines for the first time with Ford. That's going to be a big challenge for them. Like, the opportunity's there for them to take some scalps, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Quick word on Mercedes, who were a bit on their own all race. Russell had a pretty shocking start. He lost a place to Antonelli, Sainz and Alonso on the opening lap.
Yeah, he was on that dirty side, I think.
Yeah. He kind of made those places back up a bit. They finished 5th and 6th in the end.
I feel like he lost out a little bit in the safety car round of pits. I feel like he lost a position to...
Antonelli lost a position to Sainz, and I think Russell lost a place as well. They had a bad pit phase early on. But 5th and 6th in the end. After that, mistake on the penultimate lap, which let Norris through. Sadly, ever since the race, Antonelli's been getting tons of abuse online. Up to and including death threats, which is just like...
It's ridiculous,
Get a grip, people. Like, Red Bull have apologised for comments some of their staff made after the race. I mean, we heard GP sort of semi-tongue-in-cheek, I think it's fair to say, on the radio, saying, looks like he let him through. And I think at least one other guy from Red Bull, it might have been Helmut Marko, I think, said something along the same lines, like...
There's no I think.
It almost certainly would have been, yeah.
It definitely was. I've not even heard it, but I know what he's like. I know he will have said something.
Yeah, but like Red Bull have apologised for those comments and any effect that might have had. And after I think Mercedes spoke to the FIA have like released something condemning all of that as well. And like there's just no place for it. Like
no,
if you need to get a grip if you're doing something like that. I'd really like to think that no one listening to this comes underneath that umbrella, but
I would say not.
On the very small chance there is, stop it. Just stop it. Yeah,
just stop it.
Alonso had a pretty good weekend.
Generally speaking.
Aston Martin's best qualifying performance, albeit in the sprint of the year. He got 4th place. Dropped down to 7th in the end, but still got some points. And then even though he had that really dramatic 360 in the race, he managed to finish 7th there as well. First time he scored points in 4 races, Alonso. He's been on a bit of a bad run.
Yeah.
But that's dragged Aston Martin back above Haas, albeit still only in 7th place in the constructors. RB, sort of contrasting fortunes. Lawson had a really good drive, I thought. He was out in Q2, but he climbed his way back up to the points in 9th. Gutting for Hadjar, though. Like, brilliant in qualifying again, lined up 6th. He was looking good to finish 6th, and then he got that puncture really late on, which I've not seen any talk of the cause of that. I'm going to assume it was curbs until I'm told otherwise, because
I've not seen anything. I haven't seen anything from his onboard of him like running wide or anything. That doesn't mean he didn't. That just means I've not seen it. But unfortunate, because he was running quite well for the majority of that race, wasn't he? Realistically.
And then last team before we move on to other things, Ferrari. Again, we have to talk about Ferrari, and it's just awful. Like, what is going... Like, 9th and 18th in sprint qualifying, 13th and 17th in the sprint, 10th and 18th in the race quali, 8th and 12th in the race. That is abysmal. They're getting outperformed by Aston Martins and RBs and Saubers, and it's like the drivers just seem done. Like they're so checked out.
I think that doesn't help because obviously when their motivation to go and get a result is literally rock bottom and they've just had enough. And I think the same applies to, I mean, yes, it's definitely more obvious with Hamilton. He's been far more vocal about it, but you can see the same demeanour in Leclerc as well. Like it's the same for both of them. And I think that plays a factor because you're just not pushing as hard, are you? You're just not driving to the limit and stuff like that, like you normally would be if the motivation was there. And it's just gone for them both at the end of the season. And I mean, we talked about it the other week, but I don't think the comments will have helped about the drivers just need to shut up and drive or whatever it was. Like that will just make them both feel disrespected for the most part, and probably they have checked out after that. I wouldn't be surprised. So
yeah. I mean, so before the Brazil weekend, they were second in the constructors. They are now going to finish fourth.
Crazy.
Like in such a short pace of time, they have just completely fallen off.
Just imploded.
So frustrating.
We must be at a point now, going back to last week's comments, we must be at a point now where Max Verstappen single-handedly is beating both Ferraris.
Oh, yeah, your favourite stat of the season.
I'm just very quickly going to check, but I'm pretty sure that stat will now be in effect. So Max has 396 points, Ferrari have 382.
There we go.
He's 14 points in front of both Ferraris combined.
And I'm pretty sure Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc are not the problem there.
Yeah, I mean, Russell, do you know what? Russell on his own is not that far off. It's 382 for Ferrari's constructors. Russell is on 309. So it's still like 73 points or whatever that is. But considering that's 1 versus 2, and the Mercedes has not exactly been the best car this season, has it? And Russell's nearly there on his own as well. That's crazy.
It is almost unfathomable how bad they're doing. Ugh.
Shocking.
Right.
I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
It's reached that point where I think if you didn't laugh, you would go insane.
Pretty much. Should we do a driver of the day?
I mean, we all know where my vote's going.
He's got the hat on.
If you can't work it out by now, then
it's Carlos Sainz. Of course, we're giving it to Carlos Sainz. I'm not going to pretend we're not just a Carlos Sainz fan club here.
I was very disappointed by how few votes in the real vote Carlos was getting.
Really weird that.
I get Max was winning the race and closing the championship gap. I get it. That's impressive. It's good. But in no disrespect to Max, he's sort of been handed that race win to some degree by McLaren messing up the strategy. Like, realistically, he'd have probably finished in second between the two of them, would have been my guess, if they'd all pitted in sync together. I just don't think it'd have caught Piastri. So, yeah, good drive, solid, did what he needed to do. But I definitely can't look past Carlos. Like, it's got to be Carlos for me.
Yeah, happy with that. Move of the day, I can think of one candidate.
Yeah, I'm probably the same one, which is the Piastri on Antonelli. And even that's debatable because he was on the way fresher tyres at that point and it was a DRS move. Although, when I look back at that, I mean, I know we've talked about Lando's lack of ideas at times when it comes to overtaking people, but as we have seen in previous races at times, Piastri caught up to the guy, put himself in a position to make an overtake and made it work. Lando followed him for 10 laps or more and had to rely on a 19-year-old making a mistake under a huge amount of pressure to get past. Like, so, yes, you could say Piastri was benefiting from the fresh tyres and the DRS, etc., but it took Lando 10 plus laps, and he couldn't do the same thing. And it wasn't even like Antonelli had DRS from Carlos Sainz in that scenario, because Sainz was still a second and a half down the road, 2 seconds down the road. So it was not like Antonelli had DRS himself to defend or anything like that. It was just really solid defensive driving, much like Vegas, was it?
Yeah, yes, it was.
Vegas with his defensive driving. Part of me, I know there was this whole thing of, he let Lando through. Da, da, da. If anything, I would say he let Piastri through and then fought Norris. I'd say it's the opposite way around.
Well, yeah, if you want to be picky about it.
He's just choosing chaos. He's like, let Piastri through and then fought Norris. Like that. If I was Antonelli, that's what I'd have been doing. I'd have been fighting Norris as hard as possible and letting Oscar Piastri through to just take this title as close as possible.
Yeah.
And as well, can I just point out, like, I know it's a ridiculous statement that people are making, saying Antonelli's doing this on purpose. Are they absolutely forgetting who his like absolute best mate and buddy pal is on the grid? Like, him and Verstappen are inseparable. There is no way on this earth he's going to go, I'm going to piss off my best mate. Like, it's just ridiculous. That alone just makes it so ridiculous that people think that he's done it on purpose. The fact that he literally cannot be... And the way Verstappen always looks longingly as he gets taken away from him for interviews, it's like... it is like just big brother, little brother. It's... Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Last one.
Honestly, what the f*** are we doing here?
McLaren.
I mean, it's got to be, hasn't it? I know there's probably other things we could think of. We've talked about some of them as in preview, like the fact that we had to be in a situation where 25 lap stints and all this stuff. I'll tell you one that's a little bit of a soft mention. I don't know if you can say anything different to this, because I know you use international broadcast commentary, which is like Crofty and Brundle and everyone like that. But on F1 TV, it would seem that the majority of the commentary seemed to think that everybody had to go to softs for the final stint. Because there was a lot of things like, maybe McLaren are doing this because they think the soft won't be a good tyre at the end of the race. And I was sat there thinking, but everybody's got a new set of hards, pretty much. I'm hard-pressed to think of anyone who's not. Like, and judging by the strategies everyone played, I would say Bortoletto was maybe for some reason one of the only people who didn't have any hards to go to and had to go to the soft. But literally, and I don't understand how in that position, as an official F1 commentator, you don't have the basic data that tells you what sets available they have to them to be able to say, well, everyone's going onto the hard at some point anyway, so it's fine. Like, I just don't know where that narrative came from, and that was a bit of like a how are we in this position? But this is coming from an F1 TV commentary perspective. I don't know if it was covered any better from an international broadcast.
The Sky guys were certainly like expecting soft tyres towards the end and talking about McLaren swapping to them possibly, but I don't think it was quite.
Yeah, that makes sense because the stint was different.
Speaking of commentary as well, like, it must have been 2/3, 3/4 of the way into the race. Crofty was like, "Oh, is the way this is playing out? Is Max actually the favourite to win this race now?" Like it was a brand new
like
thought.
Like it was a shock.
And Martin Brundle was like, "Yeah, he has been for a while, mate." And it was like, "Yeah, he has been since lap 7 when McLaren balls this entire race up."
Maybe Croft was as bored as all of us and had a bit of a nap.
He's probably checked out.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed.
In Discord pointed out during the weekend that he came out.
Oh, he had
a bit of a
I also really enjoyed because Martin Brundle did the post-race interviews. Karun Chandok went up to commentate for the last couple of laps, and he like got into the commentary box just as Antonelli was making his mistake. So Crofty was like, "Oh, welcome, Karun, to the box. How are you? How are you getting on?" And Karun was just sort of like, "Yeah, doing well, very, very well, thank you." "Oh, Antonelli's gone wide." It was just like such a matter of fact. And Crofty's like,
he is very like matter of fact,
Yeah.
though, isn't he? He's like, oh, this appears to have happened.
Oh look, a Mercedes going wide.
Yeah. So we've got to go with the McLaren strategy.
Oh, we
right?
have to. We absolutely have to.
Okay. Shall I run through what that means for predictions and the like? So, nothing for you, I don't think, Chris, this week, unfortunately. Couple of bits for me with a race winner and a number of finishers. We did, however, have a 4 out of 5, a very, very close entry from Dennis, top score this week. Dennis, part of our Discord community and Patreon, and was asking post-race, do the people who have pitted on the last lap and like not finished the race count as retirements, even though they're classified as the rules state? Yes, they do count as DNFs. So he was pretty happy about that because it got him down to 16 finishes, which I think he was angling for. But yeah, really good weekend for Dennis. The only one he got wrong was having the wrong McLaren on pole, basically. Went for Norris rather than Piastri. So yeah, pretty good weekend overall. In terms of the championship, it's still extremely close overall for the title there. We did have a 3-way tie for first, but Michael Leboldas has managed to just edge out a lead again on 29 points. But Elijah Herzing-Smith and Ben Hines are still tied on 28 points behind, so very close. I did take a quick look, and technically speaking, anyone down to 20th in the standings on Predictions League could still win the overall title, technically speaking, because that's how many people are like within 5 points of Michael, essentially. So if Michael has a complete blunder and other people get perfect weekends,
If you're McLaren's,
it's entirely possible. Yeah. So just avoid McLaren it, Michael. But it's like, if you want to add some spice to the championship, feel free. Over in the official F1 fantasy game, our winner this week was 44th Gear with 442 points. Very smartly saving a triple DRS bonus for this weekend,
Nice.
and getting it on max, I think it was. So that handed a big old handful of points to 44th Gear. And then over in GridRival, Alex Woodward was overall winner this week with 1,217 points, which is a pretty good score for GridRival. Normally it's like low 1,000 and something is a decent enough score to win, but 1,217 is very solid. So well done to Alex on that one. If you want to get involved with any of that, then head to backofthegrid.com. We've got one race left. It's because I'm thinking of why I'm wasting. I can't talk. We've got one race left, and it's worth getting involved with the Predictions League, even if you've not been involved all season, because if you do get that elusive 5 out of 5, which I don't think we've had any this season.
Don't we have,
which,
no.
Considering
Tricky
how like on form the McLaren has been, though, I'm quite surprised we've not had any this season. But yeah, anyway, go get them all right. You win a prize. And get the fantasy leagues, all that stuff's there, as per usual. Little bits of sort of news and information to round off before we take a little bit of a quick look at Abu Dhabi and the remaining championship.
It's hard to fit some of these big news things in with everything going on at the what feels like constant back-to-back races end of the season. But among all of it, Adrian Newey is going to be Aston Martin team principal next year. He's going to be taking over the role that's currently held by Andy Cowell, who is not leaving the team. He's stepping aside to be chief strategy operator, but mainly overseeing power unit development and kind of looking after the relationship between Aston Martin, Honda, and Valvoline, who do like their oil and stuff. Yeah. Andy Cowell was previously at Mercedes and was a huge part of their powertrain at the beginning of the hybrid era. So you can sort of see why they want to move him back into a position where he's focused purely on powertrain stuff, not on team principal. However, to move Adrian Newey into that role is a very, very interesting move. There was some speculation that this is going to be temporary until Christian Horner joined the team. Lawrence Stroll has very much shut that suggestion down, which I think is a good thing. I don't like the idea of that, and I'm not sure Adrian Newey would either. I mean, Adrian Newey over the weekend said like he's determined not to dilute, was the word he used, his focus on car design and development, and that's still what the team wants from him and what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But he's going to be taking over, like, guiding the technical team and trackside operations.
Yeah, I think this is the thing, though, isn't it? The role of team principal can mean different things to different people, right?
Yeah.
And different things to different teams. Like, you have sort of team principals who are just a boss guy. Like, they don't necessarily offer direct input on a technical aspect or a strategic aspect. They are there to lead and guide and provide guidance in that regard. Some are definitely more engineer strategy background and are there to like have arms around the drivers and support the drivers. Others are more technical background, like an Adrian Newey, and you know, there to lead a technical team in development and design more than the pit wall stuff and that side of it. So I think you see this, you know, different outlook on what a team principal's role is based on different teams. Like, I mean, yes, it's not necessarily the career path I could see Adrian Newey going down, but if they really want to fundamentally embrace some philosophy or some idea that he has in terms of developing the car, who better to lead it than him, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, you can have a chief strategist sat on the pit wall next to you if you need it. Do you know what I mean? If he doesn't have to be sat there making strategy decisions. I don't ever think that Horner was sat there making strategy decisions at Red Bull, for argument's sake. Yeah. Like, that's what your Hannah Schmitz and people of this world are for. Like,
exactly,
that's their job. And some team principals will be more involved in that than others, and some will be less involved. So, yeah, overall, not the direction I saw them going, but I can see why, from a development aspect, it being such an important year for Aston to really try and turn this thing around and get involved with the Honda Power Unit and get that working from day one. It kind of makes sense having someone like Adrian Newey leading the operation. So.
Yeah. And the team also made a point of saying Lawrence Stroll is still going to be running the business side of the team, which to me very much just sounds like we're doing what McLaren are doing. Like,
yeah, like Lawrence Stroll is
your Zach Brown.
Is Zach Brown.
Adrian Newey is your Andrea Stella.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, you know, yeah, I can see working. Oh. And, you know, it's got to be tricky when someone as big a name as Adrian Newey moves into a team. Like, how do you bring someone in to be above him when they're clearly letting him have every say that he needs? It seems like they're like an Adrian Newey come in and just tell them what the team needs to change to be winners. So it kind of makes sense in a lot of ways for him to be at the top. It's just they have to be very careful how much of his time they are taking up with stuff he doesn't want to be doing ultimately.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing though, isn't it? It's like the sideways move for Andy Cowell, for example, and moving more into that chief strategy officer. Essentially, Newey doesn't want anything to do with strategy.
Yeah.
Keep Andy Cowell there and just let him handle all that, but let Newey be the guiding force behind anything technical and development related.
And it doesn't want anything to do with powertrains other than make it as small as you can so I can wrap some bodywork around it.
Yeah, basically. Make it small and powerful so I can design around it. Thank you. So, yeah, like I say, it makes sense overall. I think it's just a little bit unexpected because you would have thought that Newey wouldn't want that kind of role, but maybe at this point in his career that's a little bit different. He's got a little bit of a different outlook, and given time that's where he wants to be, and he wants to be overseeing, you know, new talented minds designing the car and just having input from above. But yeah, be interesting to see how it pans out anyway.
Speaking of Aston Martin, believe it or not, we already have the first 2026 car launch date.
Do we?
We do. The AMR 26 will be launched on the 9th of Feb.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. And the announcement image for it is a mechanical pencil drawing the AMR 26 logo, which is
Of course it is.
yeah, we don't need to explain where that reference comes from. Another little side bit of news we should mention before we move on to Abu Dhabi is that Leo Fornaroli won the F2 championship over the weekend with two races to spare, which means he has got back-to-back F3 and F2 titles, which has only previously been done by Leclerc, Russell, Piastri and Bortoleto. As things currently stand, he's not affiliated with any F1 teams, like in a reserve driver role or anything, but he has said that he knows what he's doing next year and things will be announced soon. So hopefully that means an F1 team has snapped him up. And hopefully he doesn't end up going the way of Drogovic and just being stuck on the sidelines, because he's a quick driver. He's impressive.
Got very good potential. And
we might have two Italians on the grid in a year or two's time.
Yeah. When was the last time we had that? I mean, did we ever have anyone on the grid at the same time as Giovinazzi? I don't think we did we?
No, I think last time might have been like Trulli and Fisichella might have overlapped.
What? No way.
Yeah.
That's a long old time for those two being on the grid together.
It's been a real drought of Italian drivers over the last couple of decades.
I mean, we had the same thing with the French drivers, though, didn't they? And then we just got loads at once, like
a quarter of the grid was French all
and,
of a sudden.
And I suppose Leclerc in a fashion. I mean, I know it's Monaco, it's a principality, but just that part of the world, we had none for such a long time, and then they all came at once. So, yeah. No, good to know. Good to know he sounds like he's got something sorted.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Hopefully it's within F1 and not like I'm going to Formula E or something. So, yeah, we're good.
Right.
Shall we look to Abu Dhabi?
One to go.
Many championship permutations.
Yes.
Some much simpler than others. I think the headlines to go into it is Norris's lead is now 12 points over Verstappen. Piastri is then a further 4 behind that. So 16 total for Piastri. As I mentioned earlier when we were talking about it, the finishing position for Norris in Qatar essentially means a podium is good enough for him, regardless of the results of the other two. Little bit of a shame, as I say, because I would have liked to have seen him have to fight for second.
Yeah.
I think at the point that he was 5th behind Antonelli, it meant that even if he came 3rd, him and Max won, he and Max would have been tied on points, and Max would have then won it on countback for the 8th win. I think it worked out, which
I think that's right.
I would have absolutely loved to have seen that. I'm not going to lie. Like, to see them finish like Max, Piastri, Norris, and then Verstappen win it on countback. Oh, it would have been one for the ages. Sadly, we can't get that now. But, essentially a podium is good enough for Norris. So, not the hardest challenge, but having said that, he's not been on the podium this weekend, so it's not an insurmountable
not guaranteed
challenge. Essentially, for Verstappen, the easiest summary to look at it is if he wins, well, he needs to win, basically. He doesn't have to win. Assuming he wins, Norris needs to be 4th or lower, as we were just saying. Norris off the podium with a Verstappen win is enough for him. And Piastri, if he wins, he needs Norris to be as low as 6th for that to work out. There's lots of other random combinations.
There are many combinations.
It would take lots of time to go through them.
That's the main things we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of big talking points, I guess, are if we end up in a scenario where you've got Max leading, driver X in 2nd place, Piastri in 3rd, Norris in 4th, or you're going to get team orders for Piastri to shift out of the way for Norris to secure that 3rd place.
I think
that would happen?
I think in that situation they would ask him to, and I do think Piastri would do that as well. I don't think, given how much of an outside bet the Piastri is now for the championship, and given that if they're in that situation, things aren't really going to fall in Piastri's favour anyway. Like, even if he was able to overtake 2 cars and win the race, that still wouldn't be enough for him.
Yeah.
I think under that situation, as a team player, I think Piastri would do that.
Yeah, I think this is the bigger picture side of it, isn't it? As much as he would feel probably crappy in the moment having to do it and just give up on this year, like you say, mathematically, it'd be such a big swing the other way that he'd need to go get 2 places and have Norris fall further backwards. I think at that point he has to think about the bigger team gain, that if that car's strong again next year, he wants them all on side.
Yeah, exactly that,
knowing that he's a team player. I think in that scenario you see the team orders play out. The trickier one is probably the one that I think you were about to bring up.
Yeah, so if Max is winning, Oscar's second, let's say Russell's in third and Lando is fourth, would the team then ask Oscar to let Russell and Lando past him? Because asking to let your teammate buy is one thing. Asking you to let another team's driver past and then your teammate is it's a very different question.
I honestly get the feeling that if they were in that scenario, I honestly get the feeling that they would pull some ridiculous reason to pit him or something.
Invent a slow puncture.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be brave enough on global coverage to say, please let the Mercedes and your teammate through. It's one thing when you're inverting the positions, as the team like to say, or most teams like to say anyway, but to be letting George through, like, it becomes dangerous at that point as well, because Mercedes aren't involved directly in that, right? And Piastri starts slowing, depending on where it is, like, what's George thinking at that point? And what so I think in that regard you have to be careful, and they would probably invent some mysterious reason for him to need to pit or something like that. Or, I mean, knowing the way McLaren have been this season, maybe just bite the bullet and let Max have the title.
Well, possibly.
It's like, well, it's done now, isn't it? Can't do anything. At least we still have the flexibility, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's all that.
There's a few other championship fights that are still alive. Antonelli can beat the driver he replaced, Lewis Hamilton, which is actually quite an interesting one. He's only 2 points behind him now. Based on current form, I think there's a very good chance that's going to happen. Which I think that might end up being the worst championship position Lewis has ever finished in.
Probably
if he finishes 7th. Sainz has also caught up to Albon. He's only 9 points behind him for 8th place, so they could swap places at the death as well. And then behind them, you've got Hajar, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Lawson, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Stroll are all covered by 19 points. So that whole section of the driver standings could all completely change. Then on the constructors' side, Red Bull could still beat Mercedes to second in the constructors, but they'd need to outscore them by 34 points, which would essentially mean Max winning, Yuki coming 5th, and Mercedes not scoring. So it's a very outside chance, but still unlikely. Mathematically possible.
Doable, but very unlikely.
As we said earlier, Ferrari are now guaranteed 4th. Williams have secured 5th. Aston Martin, Haas and Sauber can all mathematically still catch RB for 6th place, but realistically Aston Martin the only ones that actually stand a chance there. So 6th and 7th could still swap.
There you go. All those permutations, time for one last prediction round. We're going to go ahead and see how we think this finale is going to play out. The question is, are you going to go with the results of your heart or of your head? That's the question.
I mean, I've tried both this season. I've just done terribly
Neither
all
works.
year.
Okay, well, fastest in Q3. Who do you think we will see fastest in Q3 this weekend?
Oh, it's so hard. Like McLaren were pretty dominant here last year, weren't they?
Yeah, they had a good round here last year. Yeah.
I say dominant. Sainz was like 200ths off Piastri, who was second, but still. No, I'm going to say Max.
Okay. Are you bold enough to go for a Max double?
I am.
Because
I am.
That is exactly where I was going. So essentially we're the same there. Is Verstappen across the board for race winner and fastest in Q3. Any candidates for a first DNF?
I'm going to go for the saddest possible option and say Yuki Tsunoda.
Fair. I don't know where I want to go with that, actually. I've not thought about it until asking you, and now I'm on the spot to have to think about it.
Actually, looking at last year's results, Perez was first retirement last year in his last race for Red Bull. So
there you go. You may have very well have nailed it. I don't know. I can't be out. Part of me wants to put one of the championship contenders in amongst it, but I think that's silly even for me. I shouldn't do it because I'm wearing the hat, but
oh no,
Carlos Sainz.
Oh dear.
This is what happens though. You have a good
Hero
weekend
to zero.
and you have a terrible one. I'm just gonna do it. I'm sorry, Carlos. I love you really. Number of finishers. It's usually generally okay here. In fact, actually, go on. You do your finishers.
I'm going to go for good old faithful 17.
Okay, I'm going to go completely the way, and I'm going to say 20 finishers, and I'm scrubbing Sainz's name off the first DNF. I'm going with none.
You're going no one.
I found it so hard to commit to one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was just picking one for the sake of picking one, and I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to say everybody finishes, no DNFs. That's where I'm going. So now we guarantee like 9 finishers, absolute chaos and carnage. Yeah. So that's probably what's going to happen. Random driver, right?
Last
let me draw
of the
this.
Year.
See who it is. Oh no! Oh no! I mean, it's not great. It's not as bad as you might think it is from a reaction, but it's not great. It's Yuki Tsunoda. So I was more feeling for you on that regard. It's still a really hard one overall.
I'm going to hedge my bets and say 10th.
Okay. I don't know where I want to go. It's been a tough... Where did he finish this weekend? Where did he actually
10th.
finish? Okay. I'll go like slightly optimistic like you, and I'll say 9th, and just say a couple of points to see how his. But I see why you're hedging your bets and get a double shot at it there, I guess, don't you? So yeah, that is our predictions there. Go on, you were going to say something?
Let's do a last bit of this, as it's the last race of the season.
Oh, go on.
How's it going to play out? Who's taking it home, do you think?
Do you want to know what I want and what I think?
Yeah, go on then.
What I want is genuinely Max. I want something to be happening with
McLaren's crash into each other turn one.
Essentially, specifically, it needs to be Lando, doesn't it? Doesn't as long as he finishes ahead of Piastri, he's beat Piastri, right? So, part of me wants something to go on, bit of drama, and just because I want to have witnessed probably one of, if not the best comebacks in championship history, and it probably will be one of the best comebacks for the foreseeable future, I think. Arguably one of his strongest, if not his strongest season. He's been dominant in years before, but I think to do what he's doing right now is arguably stronger a performance than some of his really dominant years. So I think that's what I want to happen. What I think will happen is that it ends up being enough that Norris is somewhere on the podium and ends up sealing it through that. And it just being enough. I think, like I kept saying earlier, whilst whilst he was behind Antonelli, and it meant that he would have to get on the podium. He would have to get second, and being on the podium wasn't enough. I think there was still an element of he could overreach, overtry, and make a mistake that becomes really costly. I think slightly less pressure of just being on the podium is enough for me. Will probably relax him enough going into the weekend that he can see it through, I think. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I think he's just going to bring it home third behind Verstappen and Piastri, nice and safe, and just wrap it up that way.
Yeah.
It's still very much in his own hands, and I think, especially at this track where the McLaren should be good, I think he'll just, bring it home nice and easy.
Yeah. Should we do a little bit of inbox to see us out?
Yeah.
Keep it saying now. Stay out. Box. Hey, man.
First one this week is from Yuji Misto saying Yuki Tsunoda is going to be running as deep as possible to try and hold up whichever McLaren driver is the lower of the two in quali, while Max takes care of the other in a strategic battle. So, do McLaren prioritise Norris now? If Max takes the title due to incompetence solely and indecision from Papaya Racing rules, they will have come back to bite them, essentially.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument that McLaren should just throw everything behind Norris now, but that would require them to change the approach they've had for the entirety of the season, and they've been very clear that they're not going to do that.
I think no matter how distant a chance it is, whilst he's mathematically still got a chance, they have to keep on
they have to do
we will be evens at this point. It's gone all the way down to this point, and if Norris bins it in a quali session and ends up at the back of the grid, they need to be prioritising Piastri in that scenario realistically, because he will then become the only hope that they've got. Well, I mean, no, it's not insurmountable, I guess, for Lando to get through the field. We've seen people like Vettel do it there. Whether Lando's got that in him or not, I'm not so sure. I feel like at this point in his career, when he's not got a title and stuff, some adversity like that would probably rattle Lando enough that he ends up throwing it away. So they would have to back Piastri, I think, in that scenario, personally.
Yeah. I mean, Max could really do with Yuki sort of up there in the fight as well, but I can't see that changing for this last race after a season of him not being able to do that. I do expect Yuki to start the race on hards and go along and be in the way a bit, but I can't see it making a huge difference, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how stuff like the Mercs end up playing into this, and how much they choose to be involved or stay out of it to some degree. Like, it's an interesting one for them, because I think they're probably the most likely to be in the mix with the three of them, is having Antonelli and Russell in amongst it. And it'd be interesting to see, like I say, how that sort of plays out if they are in amongst it. And like we were saying before, like Russell or Antonelli or someone's in amongst those podium places and keeping Norris off it. Are they going to fight to get that podium and sort of almost be the decisive factor, or are they going to play ball a little bit? I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see how that runs, generally speaking.
Yeah. Paul D says, "Hey man, do you think Ferrari will be regretting replacing Carlos with Lewis, given the great job Carlos is doing?"
When he wins his world title with Williams next year, yes. Yes, they will.
Like, they really shouldn't be. Like, Ferrari need to be looking at everything except their drivers right now. They're really not the problem.
True.
Do we think Sainz would have done a better job in that car than Lewis this season?
Maybe, just because he's been around it previously.
Yeah.
So I think there's an element of knowing how to drive around the trash. Like, that's why Leclerc is doing better, generally speaking, than Lewis. I was going to say much better, but it's not that much better, is it? It's still some very abysmal results, even for Charles. But I think the reason that there is a gap there is because Leclerc at this point's used to having to drive around whatever situation the car gives him. And I think Carlos being there would have probably helped in that regard because he already knew it. And he's proven that he could take it to wins, same as Leclerc's taking it to wins when it's not necessarily the best car around. So maybe, but I don't think it had made that much difference. It might have kept him in like second or third in the title race, possibly. Might have kept him away from fourth, but
yeah, possibly.
Overall, I don't think it would have made a huge amount of difference having Carlos instead of Lewis. Yeah, I'm just excited for his world title next year. That's all I'm saying.
I'm here for it.
And I think that wraps us up for this week, doesn't it? That answering that one.
Yep.
So enjoy the finale. Take a moment to at least, no matter who you're supporting and who you want to win, take a moment to just enjoy the fact that we've gotten to Abu Dhabi with 3 drivers in contention, and some mixed up results could see an absolute massive swing. Like, I think, considering how the season started, we all have to be grateful that we've got to this point, and that one of the McLarens hasn't run away with it, even if they've tried and McLaren has done their best to stop them doing that. We've gotten to this point. Chris and I will be back next week in order to review it all and wrap it up. So join us for that. If you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, you can find us on all the social places by searching for Back of the Grid. You can also reach out to us through the website, backofthegrid.com. And if you want to get involved with our Discord community and be part of like watching the races live with us and chatting through during the races or listening to the show live as we record it, then head to patreon.com/backofthegrid to find out how to sign up and be part of that. If you are on YouTube watching this, then please do remember to give it the old like, throw a comment on there, do the subscribe thing, do all that stuff. It helps us grow that audience there. But that is it for this week. So we will leave you all to go and enjoy the finale, whoever you may be supporting. And as I say, we will be back next week to review it all. So see you then. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Carlos to be the first Williams champion in nearly 30 years.